Hello, Compassion Ambassadors. I am feeling ecstatic right now because I'm here with one of the most talented, gifted soul sisters in my life. I met this beautiful woman, Morgan, when I was living in Sydney. And I feel like, well, first of all, the first time that I heard you sing, I just started crying. Like my heart just
I'm
burst open.
sorry.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I just knew in that moment that I would just love you forever and
Aw.
support your art and your work. You're truly an incredible channel, I feel like, for truth and for love
Thank
and
you.
for beauty and for wildness. That's what I love about you. It's like there's so much gentleness but so much wildness, and that's
Ew, I like that.
I love
Nice to be seen.
yeah, I love it. And the reason why Morgan and I are connecting tonight is because, the Network of Love was born about a year ago. We're coming up on the year anniversary. And it just seems like the perfect time to really just dive in and create a visual representation and sort of a map, like a sacred map for the evolution and the future of the Network of Love, for what it is that we stand for, what it is that's being created here. It's truly been an incredible love initiation for me that, as you all know, has started with really some severe health crisis. And what I've been learning along the way is that, um, we are all healing from something,
Mm.
and we all need help. And that the really, I think that the greatest sickness that we're experiencing as a global community is like this disconnect from the way that we show up to love and help each other. And it doesn't have anything to do with not wanting to. It has to do with how overwhelmed we all are, and how much we all need help. So anyways, I'm just really excited to dive into this creative process with Morgan. She's going to basically create a piece of art for us that will become our radiant healing mandala, for us to have in our spaces and to represent the network of love, and to just sort of energetically remind us what it means, and that this radiant healing is available for all of us.
Yeah, I like what you just said then about everyone needs help and everyone's going through healing and that it's overwhelming, because I just tend to find that it doesn't matter what level that is. It's like everyone's feeling it and it's intense for everybody. And so it's a good kind of moment to practice non-judgment, I guess, because, someone might be in their life and going through stuff that you think, what are you even complaining about? Like that is not a big deal. Like, look what I'm going through, or, vice versa, or gone through that. Why don't they just do this and this and this, and that would fix it? Just do that, because we all have different, wounds and different capacities. And I think that at the moment I'm finding that a lot around me, and also with myself, like that we're getting shown where our overwhelm is, and and it's nice to be able to open up and connect with other people, because they tend, if you can do that with compassion and balance and understanding and non-judgment, the people around you are the ones that can help you and actually give you advice or help or point you in the right direction. And they've got to be compassionate towards you, that like whatever you're going through is real and all that. But I think a lot of the overwhelm and things that are just generally going on, we all have our patterns, we all have our things we're trying to protect, we're all trying to hide from stuff. And I think that the people trying to face it, are and share it and then turn it into something lighter, are the ones that are really, really sharing it with everybody else, So that's what you're doing. And, I'm doing it through music and art and that kind of stuff. And some, recognizing behaviors that have been there and old family wounds and things like that. And, our journeys are different, but they still connect up, as some point.
Well, that's the point. And that's really what I've been learning over this last year, is that they're different, but they're the same. Ultimately, every crisis we go through, every trauma that we are trying to heal from, small or large, really doesn't matter. In fact, no one can really say, because all our growth our growth edge is our growth edge, no matter who we are. So
Yeah.
the intensity of your healing is more related to where is your growth edge than it is my thing bigger than your thing. And I've had so many friends say that to me, where they're like, well, I don't want to tell you what's going on with me because what is going on with you is so much bigger. And I'm like, no, it's really not. Like, we are becoming the truth of who we are together. This is what we're doing. It's in the way that we validate each other, like you said, in the way that we see each other, in the way that we can show up with love and actually, care for each other from the heart. And actually, what I see in a network of love is that every resource that you need is available within this network of people who live from the heart. And we pass those resources from heart to heart. And when you're passing resources from heart to heart, and when you're seeing each other, when you're seeing others from heart to heart, it changes everything. And so then it sort of turns the darkest thing possible into this incredible love initiation. Because like you said, we are really all the same.
Exactly. And it's like, everybody has their own, I look at so many things and people and situations as tones and colors and textures and that kind of thing. And it's like, who wants to be wishy-washy? Like, this type of stuff comes through to, give, when I look at creating mandalas and things, it's like I see each line as, like a boundary, and you need shade and light to have the contrast. And if it was just lines and just straight edges, there would be no depth. And if it was just really, really, like, everybody's mandala and everybody's kind of feeling, it's totally different. And everybody, when I draw them, I have a style, that is kind of, I guess, recognizable, like, and that's the same with any artist, and I think that people are just going through the thing where they're trying to find their colors and kind of go, this is what I want to paint my life with. And that's that energetic signature and the tones and the style that you use. And I'm finding that a lot more through my art. And then it's taught me through music, and then I start to look at it all. I'm like, this sounds like this feels or looks like, right. And this looks like how I feel. And it feels really good to feel so kind of grounded in it. And I've always been doing that, but to actually recognize it and be like, oh, it's getting more refined and it's making more sense. It's allowing me to give more out to people and keep, making more stuff and giving it out there. And when people, like, when we connect and then I get to do a mandala for you and we get to have this conversation, and we've done it once before, and I always walk away going, oh my God, like, I'm so lucky, I got to draw something like this, but we got to connect and have this great discussion, and then you get to take it and do what you want to do with it. And it just keeps kind of traveling. And I think that's where everybody's at, trying to find their, like, signature, and you got to get all the stuff out of the way. So
right. Well,
we're going to reveal something.
We're going to reveal something. We don't even know what it is, which is the best part.
The best part.
I love what you're saying. And because what you're describing there is medicinal art. That's the way I see it. And I feel, and that's how I've always felt you. It's like you're literally, your art is your healing. And that's how I see radiant healing, which is what I'm talking about more and more. This healing that comes from the core of who you are, from the center of the jewel of the lotus inside your being, the truth, your truth, which and your essence of love, and then radiates out in all directions and begins to heal from the deepest, darkest place within your being all the way out. And we talked a little bit before we started the recording about how I've been doing some pretty radical healing for, the last 20 years of my life. I've been in this dance with this sort of invisible monster. Sometimes it feels like for all of these years, sometimes feeling like I had totally won and it was gone forever. Other times feeling like I was just going through constant cycles of ups and downs. I mean, really I've had so many different experiences of it over 20 years. But the one thing that's different now is that I'm diving into the darkest dark, and sitting literally, and it's not easy, but literally sitting in the dark, in the center, behind the pain. So like I'm inside of it, instead of what I've always done before is I've been patching the holes from the outside, blowing up the air on the tires, putting the wheels back on, and just getting back on the road, because that's what was most important before. And so, what does this have to do with art as medicine? The reason why we're together here is to create some art that becomes the visual representation of how we do this type of healing. How we, as people who maybe, I believe we're all artists in our own way, but we're not you.
Yeah, like some people are just more on the edge. I'm like, I'm going to actually make the art.
Right.
But I believe, yeah, totally. We're all painting and coloring and twirling and spinning and dancing through everything, and singing and mumbling and harmonizing and all, we're doing that all the time. And some people make that their thing that they do and give to the world. And the rest of the people, do it in different ways.
What I love about creating a mandala with you is you give us the opportunity to come together with you and create a piece of art. So then we're essentially almost both the artists in this, right?
Yeah. I'm like the translator,
right?
And it still comes through my hand, So I see it like I see these kinds of things as like you're there. And we're having this conversation, and I'm just going to try and like pull the things out that want to be there, because the mandala is like a representation of that more pure essence, the thing where like, obviously as an artist and a musician, like my inner child is like, woo, like always out. So it's just that real innocence and the kind of, free feeling, imaginative, visionary, dreaming big, fantasy, like all of those kinds of feelings, that's total freedom. And, then I bring it into something that you can look at, hold, touch, see a representation of that, but it's of you and your thing. And we're going to set the intention that it is for a lot of people that need it, Yeah. And I go through like different things. Like I have it all ready here to like start, but sometimes like we'll see how we go. Like sometimes I feel like it's better to start separately, because I'm starting to see, I can see little parts of it, and I'm like, I don't want to disengage from you while doing this. But either way, if I start it or I do it afterwards, I'll still film it. So that you can actually see the whole thing.
Cool. Because I think what's really cool is that this becomes, it's like a vision board, but it's an energetic vision board. So it's the energetics of what wants to come through as, for me, in my healing process, as I'm aligning and becoming more and more resonant, and I'm purging and purging all that's been in the way, and sort of excavating and coming into more alignment with the truth of who I am. There's an imprint, there's a resonance, there's something that wants to be birthed into the world. And what you're creating is like you're showing what the map is, or the energetic imprint of that unborn baby is, or semi-born baby. And the one that we did before is actually behind me here. Hello. No matter where I go, that is with me. And the name of that,
I love that.
The name of that piece was Release.
Yes.
And we created that actually when I was in Hawaii on my way home from Sydney.
That's right.
Yeah, just finishing, the year working on the Superhuman project. So what I said to Morgan was like, hey, I've been releasing a lot. I think it's time to go into the next phase.
You need to just get to this thing that's like coming through, Well, I've got a little process I like to do.
Okay.
Over the past year or so, I've just kind of created. I've got these archetypes that I work with, and these, yeah, it goes through chakras and things like that, and that just helps me kind of find a pinpoint
Okay.
to kind of elaborate on. So I'm going to hold up some little images and
Okay.
look into it. I'm going to suggest, let me make sure I don't have a double up here. I'm going to suggest that you pick one of these colors. Yeah. The one that kind of resonates the most with you. I'll do them one at a time. These are all little alcohol ink artworks that I've done. So whether it's the pattern or the color, you are going to tell
They're
me.
so beautiful. They're so, I'm like, I want to see every one. Oh.
You are going to tell me the one that kind of really sparks something. And it's the last one.
Wow, this is a hard choice. I love all of
So
them.
here you go.
Okay.
And, ooh, there's like,
I feel like,
properly.
Oh, wow. Well, when you just held up that last blue one,
Mm-hmm.
that really struck me. And there's something also I think about the pink. I'm loving
That one or the bright one?
the I think maybe it's here. Show me both of them.
This one?
Ooh, that's really beautiful. They're all so beautiful.
This one.
I think it's that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
How fun is this? This is amazing.
Yeah, I worked with those with, you picked the throat chakra and crown chakra. So it's obviously like the higher kind of vision and then the communication of it, which makes complete sense.
Total sense.
Yeah, and I'm going to get you to pick one of these symbols. I've got to figure out a better way to hold them up.
Oh, it's fun like this.
Yeah, so you pick a symbol of one of those.
I think it's the triangle that has, it looks like something's radiating out from the center.
Yeah, true.
That's cool.
That one's fire. So it relates very much to, today is the Lionsgate portal opening.
Of course we're doing this on the Lionsgate portal.
Well, it is here, I guess, because I'm in Australia.
Okay.
It's the 8th of the 8th and you're still on the 7th. But
Right.
so it makes sense. And so I'm a Leo, and so it's like fire. Yep. So that's really good. It's like that's a real spark. It's a real action oriented kind of thing. And then lastly, these ones represent these archetypes, which will give a bit more of the embodiment kind of side of things and how we can what we can access.
The Sri Yantra one's really standing out to me. The one
Which one's that?
That's the upper, must be your upper right.
This
they're more like the triangle ones. Yep.
This one? Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's the siren energy, which is probably my favorite. Because I think I told you about this whole, there's a story about a captain, mermaid, pirate and siren. And there's a whole story that I've been working on with music and art, and it's slowly coming together, and this is part of that process. So even while we're doing this, you're activating things in me as well, which is great. Yeah, so that's the siren energy, and the way that it comes through to me and with my art and everything, and then how we can use it, is the siren is kind of like it's the wisdom and the all-seeing kind of feeling, but there's two sides of it. There's like the real mystery side of it. So it's like the enigma kind of energy, the thing that isn't fully seen. It's a little bit illusionary. And, you know, it's like, that's in this kind of whole reading / artwork. That's about the way that we can kind of channel that and find that is that there's things either hiding or there's things that want to be brought to light. And it's not negative. It's a real slinky kind of beautiful, all-knowing kind of energy. It's about accessing the bigger picture and the kind of the overview. So that's perfect, because creating this as like a bit of a map. This is kind of like the overview, and I kind of see the mandala idea, especially for this, is that, you know, when you see it from above, because the siren energy relates to air, being that you know, the overview and that upper perspective, which is also linked to the crown chakra, which you picked as well. And that's kind of that really embodying that while you're on earth. And then knowing that from above you can see this, we will have this map, you'll be able to see it. Right. But being able to go into any point of it and being able to know that whilst there's a bigger picture on earth, like, we still have to be walking forward, and you can't see that while you're looking this way and this way because it's up here. So it's about trusting it and trusting that what you can't see is there, and that the bigger picture is there, and that following every little spark, and that's that fire energy, and taking action on the sparks is like, so your intuition, that kind of thing, anything that actually has that feeling of a I've got to go that way, like a hit, really following that and trusting that even though you can't see the bigger picture, you know it and you feel it. You have to embody those two, and that can be really hard, you know, especially if you're going through something that, you know, like there's obviously a big difference between going, hey, I'm gonna wake up today and go on an adventure, and I'm gonna just follow my intuition and see where it takes me. And there's a different feeling to that, to going, I need to heal from physical things, trauma, that kind of stuff, and going, you're not waking up, you know, generally going, cool, so today I can't wait to like follow my intuition to figure out what more shit's coming towards me. Right. You know, like, but it's kind of, I think this has a really gentle feeling to it. These two colors are so beautiful.
I love them.
They're kind of the most, out of those ones that I've worked on, they're probably my two favorites. This one, throat chakra, is 100% my favorite. Yeah. And I told you that just before we started recording, I had a picture frame smash.
Right. Yes.
And the artwork was the throat chakra one about tangibility. So we were just already accessing that. And so the meanings that I've got them like written on the back here. So the throat chakra one you picked first, and it's, you know, to speak. It's all about your creative identity, and that can be in life. That can just be you're a person going along. You don't need to paint music, anything like that. Like, do that, great. But you can be creative with everything that comes to you, and trusting your intuition that there's a bigger picture at play, and that beautiful, wise, knowing siren energy that is all mystery and yet really knowing. That's a creative identity as well, you know. So this throat chakra is about communicating that and bringing that essence into a real thing, tangible thing in the world, because how we communicate is how we get our inner world, whatever it is. And since you picked the crown chakra, that's a much bigger thing. It's a connection to that overarching big picture. So you're bringing that down and pushing that out in your communication. And so this throat chakra one is also self-expression and your ability to communicate. So we probably want to move some stuff out of the way of that and just get more clarity on that communication. That's what this will be about. It's about grounding any of that healing and any of that stuff into a really clear communication. And so yeah, sound, tone, vibration, listening, speaking, self-expression of feelings, and the truth, and how you're communicating with the world. So that's probably the main thing that this will be about. It's about accessing and trusting and how you communicate those sparks of intuition. And then this crown chakra one, to know, it's the universal identity, self-knowledge, and your ability to be fully connected spiritually, inner and outer beauty. So that real transparency, and that's how you're going to communicate it, you know, with this. And also trusting with this siren energy, trusting that even though other people may not get it or see it or understand it, they feel it. That's the stuff that's going on behind the curtain that we've all got access to. And that's that intuitive thing, you know, when your gut tells you don't go that way, or don't trust this person, or I need to tell this person this and they might not like it, or whatever it is. That's that understanding that it is what it is, and you're a great channel for this. And that's the kind of thing that this mandala can represent, like the alchemy of the inner and outer beauty, enlightenment, and moving in flow as a piece of the overall puzzle. So that's kind of what this essence will be.
Wow.
Yeah.
I started feeling like tears come when we were talking about the throat chakra, because I realized that is healing. You know, that the thing is that we are an electrical system, and that our body is its own sentient being, and it's every little cell in its way is its own little universe, you know, and every organ is its own little universe and has personality. And I mean, this thing that we live in, that we inhabit, it's alive. It's alive.
Yeah.
Like, not
doing its own thing constantly.
It's doing its own thing, let me tell you. And so I felt like the huge thing about this, what I've been experiencing in the last year, and part of the love initiation, has been the speaking what I've never been able to speak before. And, you know, feeling like really being brought to my knees in such a way that there was no more hiding. There's no more hiding. There's only the raw humanity of what is. And the understanding and the knowing that as I found the courage to speak for really the first time ever about what my private experience was, that I wasn't speaking for myself, that I'm speaking for the voice of the rawness of our humanity, of what we're all facing, and what so many of us feel like we can't share, you know, and I'm one of those people. I mean, sharing to the level of authenticity and transparency, and sharing the darkness the way that I have been this last year has been, I mean, it's just the hardest. I can't even tell you how hard it is. And the guidance continues to be, like you said, this is the love initiation. Like you can't not. Like there's been only, I've done it every other way. I've done all the hiding.
Tried everything.
I've done all the hiding. I've done all the biohacking. I've done all the, you know, mind control and rise above. I mean, I've been, and so here I'm in, it's interesting that we're at the Lion's Gate, because that's what it feels like. It's like I'm at the Lion's Gate, and it's roaring. You know, this is a roaring gateway where the only thing that is acceptable is truth, is like transparent, raw humanity. And it, you know, what it has woken me up to is like, oh my God, we are all like, we need each other. You know, and I experienced that, you know, really deeply through living through the Ojai fires as well. That's where actually the network of love was first born in my heart, is when I really learned the only thing that's not fireproof, or that is fireproof, is love. And that when everything that, you know, separates us burns down, and there's just the raw humanity and help and resources being passed from heart to heart, that's how we build again, and that's how we become even stronger, even more beautiful. So that's what came through from all of that, you know, because you have the fire in there, you have the crown chakra, you have the voice, and I can tell you, for the last 2 years, at least. I mean, this has been going on for 20 years in various forms. So it's got a lot of roots, but I mean, I've really been in the fire of it for 2 years now.
Yeah. And I think like, and the fire, kind of, it means, you know, like when they do it a lot here. I'm not sure if they do it there, but they do a lot of, you know, bush burnings, and they, you know, it's controlled fire, because if that bush was there, you know, it could be devastating if a fire happened in the heat of summer, because we get such hot summers here and it's such dry heat on the west coast of Australia. And so, you know, like anything can start a fire. And so they do a lot of burnings, you know, where it's like they do it in the lesser hot, you know, seasons and stuff, so that if a fire was to come through, they could contain it, you know. So it's almost like going, sometimes you've got to, and it's obviously rejuvenating, you know,
Right.
like, and sometimes it's like you just got to burn off the stuff that it's either to rejuvenate, because you know that's what's going to happen after a fire, or it's just a controlled version of it, so that, because you're like, I don't want to like lose control of it, you know. And that can be with anything. I think that's a lot of what we do when we're doing when we're looking with self-care and self-healing and you know, personal development and that kind of stuff. You know, we're kind of pruning things and looking at stuff and everything. So when we set, like, as we're setting this intention with this, you know, earlier you were saying about sitting behind and with those darkest, like the darkest point. And if you're sitting there, do you ever personify that? What would you call it when you say the darkness and the deepest kind of, you know, crap that's hanging out?
Yeah.
Do you call it fear, or do you have like a feeling, like a label for it that you can access and kind of pinpoint it? What does it feel like if you're actually sitting with it and it's sitting opposite you, instead of being inside of it, if it's there
Right.
opposite you?
There's been, for me, especially lately, there's a lot of fear. It's a lot of insecurity about how to take care of myself, you know, which for me was triggered in my early childhood. My mom left when I was really young, and that sort of catalyzed a series of really intense traumas. And so it feels like right now, like I'm in an intensive fear training. Like how can you have everything, the most fearful things put in front of you, and somehow keep believing, keep moving forward, keep being radiant, keep turning love in, you know? So I think that's probably the personification of it is fear.
So I think that sometimes people have humans that turn up as that mirror or that trigger or whatever it is, and it's easier if it's a person, as much as that sucks. Like if it's a person that you can go, I'm going to put blame, you know, obviously we all work to not do that, but when there's like a person or something tangible that you can go, oh, this happened, or whatever, it's there's a bit of an escape from going, oh, it's either a physical thing or, you know, like your whole health system being triggered, and all those little parts that are all operating on their own, and they're all being affected, and they're all sitting there going, what the hell is going on? And they're trying to do their thing. And you've got this kind of overview that's taking over, and either reprogramming it or just being a super like control freak about it, saying, you know, that feeling of the health coming through and being like, no, you will not be healthy, no, you're going to operate like this, you're going to go opposite to that.
I used to do that. Yep. Well, you know what it is, I really got more clarity as you were saying that. So thank you. It's like the difference now is this whole thing that to me I call turning love in.
Mm.
And so, as a child who lost her mother very young and then experienced emotional abandonment from everyone else around me because of all the grief everyone was experiencing, and then traumas started happening, there's like the pool of the pain and the fear is rather deep, right? But the
Mm.
actual pain is this disconnect, this loss of love. And so as I've been working with, just evolving all of my practices and going deeper with myself, I mean, I have the most so blessed, amazing teachers and incredible experiences and initiations in my life. And it's been going for 20 years that I've been so radically focused on healing, because, this whole thing put me in the hospital and in bed for 3 years when it first happened 20 years ago. So I've been on an intensive healing path ever since then. That's how I've gotten so involved in so many spiritual practices. And the way that it has sort of gone to the next level in the last 2 years is this whole relationship with love that isn't a person.
Mm.
So, so the disconnect was, if you look at like the abandonment and then all of the pain that came from this abandonment, this sort of free falling experience, what's happened is it's almost like the umbilical cord was cut and then the child is, can't find the connection. And so, what I work with now and what I want to bring forth more through the network of love is that, our radiant healing begins with our personal relationship with the force of love.
Mm.
So first we turn love in. And a lot of times, and I mean, I have to work with this every single day, especially on difficult days, because all I want is someone to be outside of me, to take care of me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just so brokenhearted that I don't have that, and at the same time, it's teaching me just keep going in, turn the love in. And as I turn the love in and I go into the deeper, darker pool that seems like it has no end, it's in
Mm.
that deepest, darkest pool that I actually reconnect with the source of love, like with the source that
Yeah, that's where you find it.
created me in love, right?
So something that's like coming, like I just feel, what if like, because you want this, we want this to be it's like we want the mandala to represent it's not the end goal, but it is a different vibration.
Right.
Think, if you think of it like, what if you were to release the everything that goes with healing,
Mm-hmm.
and that it is no longer about healing
Mm-hmm.
because you are already healed and you're just going along, and these are the cards right now. And because like how it is that, and this is really hard, because how the more you concentrate on something you don't have, the more you're bringing that vibration of the lack of it.
Right.
And so I kind of want to create this as a vibration that is outside of all of this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, I thought, before, that maybe it is about being at the heart of it.
Yep.
But I think now that it is about, like this in particular, is about when you're in that darkness, and if you're sitting in it, if you're near it, if you're inside of it, wherever you kind of close your eyes and feel that you are in relation to the fear or the insecurity or anything that, all of that stuff, right? That this is all bringing up. In that point, the next part is, that little spark of something magical, that it's hope, and it's like going towards it. And the whole point is that when you're in that darkness and everything and you can't see it, it's there somewhere. That's why you're in it.
That's what I was saying, is that then in that darkness you reconnect with the source, the relationship that you have with the force of love.
Yeah.
And in the strengthening of that relationship with love, then that creates that is the healing. So the
Yeah.
healing is the relationship with love, and then as you are
Mm.
with that, and that is strengthening, and that's in the center of the mandala, everything radiates from there, and
Yeah.
it expresses in all of these different ways. So I see, like, as the network of love grows, we have relationships, basically resources available in every aspect of our being, whether it be beauty, whether it be medicine,
Yeah.
whether it be music, whether it be art, because it's all aspects of the truth of who we are.
And that's where you find that, like,
Right.
that spark of the fire thing and the
Yes.
pinpoint. And I keep seeing it as, like, if it's all dark and everything is black, and then there's like a star, like one, like the first star you see at night, it's like
Exactly.
that one pinpoint, and it's so tiny, but as you approach it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you are able to go through it because you merge with it. And that's exactly what you're talking about with
Yep.
the love and that reconnection. And then when you're completely in that light, you're able to go, and you've got to remember that when you're that, and you're fully up close with, like, that lightness and the good stuff, to somebody else, you might be, what you're bringing into the world and communicating and putting out there may just be the tiniest little speck, star, pinpoint, thing that they go, oh. And exactly what you said, like with the network, it's like, whoever you are, you're going to resonate towards and be attracted towards a specific type of thing, because that's you, that's your journey, that's what lights you up. And so when you pick that pinpoint, the closer you get to it, the more encompassing it is, and it changes from being completely surrounded by darkness to completely surrounded by light. And then that's constantly the journey, because once you pass through it, there's another pinpoint to join up to. And that's the kind of thing that
and you're giving and receiving, so it's not about,
constantly,
everyone's giving and receiving, everyone's in a process of healing, no matter what it is. No one's is more important than the other. The point is that when you're connected to love, and when you are connected to a network of love, and then you're living it in that way, where you're helping others and others are helping you, and we're passing resources and information and connection and in art and inspiration, and it's all of it is us. Like the darkness is us, like just as much as the lightness.
And
So
if you think of it, like, because I'm not going to draw any more of this now, because I'd rather be here, and I'll film it because you'll be able to share it, use it, whatever.
that'd be cool.
Because the whole thing is that every little dot point and every part where the foundation lines merge, that's your point. And if every single point that the lines are met to is a person, then we are connected by some kind of a thread.
Exactly.
And if that's your conversation, or your thread is that tangible thing, or your thread is just that energetic, the way you make someone feel, or how someone makes you feel, and then it keeps going, and then it goes to somebody else, and we all carry it on, and it comes back around. And then we add another layer, and that layer might be what we do as our job or vocation. There's that layer, and then it might, which may affect the way that we actually communicate, in terms of when we're feeling stressed, or when we've got like good stuff happening. And all of that is, no matter what kind of journey or focus you're on, like, you're going through a really healing, like a physical, physically affecting kind of thing. And I'm going through refining and bringing together two sides of my creative thing. And that's a challenge, because it's like a lot of work, but that's my capacity. And just waking up the last couple of days and kind of going, what am I doing? Like, of course I can do this. Of course I can do that. And
that's
why
the point.
Why have I been sitting there thinking I can't do this?
Well, that's the spark that you're talking about, because what I've come to believe, and what I've been taught through this love initiation, is that the impossible becomes possible in a network of love. Anything and everything that you need exists within your network of love.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so, but when we get really separated from each other and we're really separated from our relationship with love, it's very easy for us to believe that something is impossible, especially when it's presenting. Like I said, I'm being presented with like everything that would just freak me the F out,
Yeah.
and it's just triggering every one of those fear wounds that we were talking about, all of the abandonment was all of the everything. And so what I've done, and I am continuing to do, is I go even deeper. I go even
Mm-hmm.
inside of it and inside of it. And then I start to see, like you said, the stars in the darkness. And to me, they've been the people in my network of love that essentially, become a path of the light. And it's every
Yeah.
single one of us who are living from the heart or living our truth, who believe in helping other people, who are compassionate, who believe in being kind. And when you start to realize you're part of a global community of people who live in that way, and
Mm.
anything that you actually need is available within that community, whether it be, you're having a physical thing that you're needing to heal from, so you need the best doctor, or whether it
Mm.
be needing, the best marketing coach. Like, to me, it's all
Yeah,
part of our,
it's
it's all part of our
all the
radiant
same
health.
thing. Yeah, and exactly, and it's about being able to connect. And we live in this amazing time now where we've got access to everything. We can do it ourselves. I think the thing with the whole DIY with everything, and we've got a lot more freedom as humans to get knowledge, to learn, not even necessarily at school, like to just figure out whatever we want. The challenge for us all as individuals is to take that on, do it for whatever it is that we want to do. If you're working a 9 to 5 job, I know I'm getting just like really general, but like, it's like if you're working a 9 to 5 job and you're like, I don't really want to do this anymore, all the information you need is at your fingertips. It's in your phone. Like, and so there's no more excuses anymore for people that are like, but I have to do it this way, I'm stuck here or whatever. And it will be a
Well,
challenge.
that
It is hard.
possibility comes through your network of love, because if you think
Yeah.
about it, if instead of believing that you have to do it that way, if you then have the belief that there's another way, and then you go, who do I know?
Yes.
Who do I know? Who knows? And then
Yep.
if you're part of a network like this growing network of love, then you just put it out to the network. Is there anyone in, hey, I'm having like basically a soul awakening, and I need to leave my job, and who do you know who's a life coach who can help walk me through this process? And
Yeah.
boom, well, we have many life coaches offering savings to everyone in this network. Like, that's
Yeah.
the whole, like, in terms of the tangible practical thing of what this is turning into, is I want everyone to have the experience of you know coming up against something that feels impossible, but then realizing if they reach into the network of love, it becomes possible, that there's access,
Exactly.
there's someone who knows, there's special, savings and ways that you can make it happen, even if you're on a budget, because you may be able to do trades, you may be, there's all kinds of things available when people are living in this sort of culture. And just to say one thing about already being healed, you totally hit the nail on the head there, because when you reconnect with your relationship with the force of love, that it becomes, that's like that's the jewel in the lotus, right? That's your
Mm.
center point. So when that reconnection has been made, that is the healing.
Mm.
That's the
The
reconnection.
challenge there is to is to I guess to understand that so it's like, it's not, the challenge isn't to stay there. The challenge is to understand that it comes and goes, like those moments of highs and lows, like the way that I feel that in my thing is like, if I have a really incredible opportunity come up that is like ridiculous, the lows after it are like, why can't I maintain that? But that's because whatever that is in my world and my kind of life and blah, 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 it's like, that's my version of connecting with like the ultimate, and so it's not so much about constantly maintaining it. Whatever your focus is that you're going towards, that's what happens in those moments of like that pure connection. It's more about lifting the rest of it, or letting the rest of it, laying things down to rest, or
Mhm.
and that's that kind of
Purging.
getting out of the way.
Getting
Yeah,
it out of the way.
totally.
Yeah. Purging.
Totally.
And
So
you're
that
so right.
you're closer to that great thing. You're bridging the gap, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of,
And the teaching, you know, for the network of love is really just, it's simple. It's turn love in.
yeah. And
Listen,
then
turn love in.
share it out
Right.
constantly. It's like this constant
Stay
kind of,
stay connected.
yeah, yeah.
Ask for what you need. Know that you're part of a network of people who have what you need. Yeah.
And ultimately, this is a beautiful container. You're kind of just putting some, like, if you think like of a mandala, it's like there comes a point where you go, well, that's the end of this one, you know, like that's the outer edges of this one, and you're just like, but they could go forever. Like you could just
It
keep
could.
doing the patterns forever.
Right.
And so you're kind of doing this thing where you're concentrating it here, and for people to go, this is where I can turn to. Which is beautiful, because ultimately what you're talking about is how we should just be in every day. But people are afraid to be vulnerable. And right now we need more people that are going through stuff and being really authentic. This is just the human experience, you know, and,
Straight up.
and then,
It's ugly.
you know,
It's hard.
exactly. And like, and I personally, like, I might be creating the best music that I'm doing ever, and I love it, and the most vibrant art, but my personal journey has been like the ugliest of ugly, like gross, like bad behaviors, you know, bad habits, like real deep triggering stuff, and kind of working that and being like, oh, that's like, I used to use that, or I guess that was there in a blind spot there that I was creating everything on top of. And then so to kind of like, you know, bang that out and be like, what the hell, like what's behind that? It's being protected. That's like that's a whole other thing now. That is a whole different existence. And so you're going, okay guys, this is what I'm going through, and there's all these other people like, oh, I'm going through that too. I can't talk to my you know, my friends or family, they don't understand it, but you do. And that's you being that little light, and then they're a little light, and then everyone's connecting their little dots up, and these are the threads, and you're making a beautiful thing here. And then I'm over here going, I'm just painting a picture, or I'm just singing a song. And someone says, when I heard that song, like, that enabled me to feel this way, or, you know, like I really needed that piece of art. Your art does this. And I'm like, really? Okay, well, I'm just doing what I do, you know? And that's that connection. And ultimately, if we were all more able to communicate and not be judgmental and understand that we're all coming from wounded places, then we could be more understanding. And those levels of like, your stuff is worse than mine, my stuff isn't valid, whatever, can shift and change. And then we can start focusing on that. You know?
It has to, because ultimately, like this, you know, this is how we heal. I've surrendered to being the eyes and the ears of not just my experience, you know, not just for my experience, but for us, for all of us, you know. And so I'm often just like, what are you trying to teach me? And I'm regularly told like, that this is how we heal. This is it, you know, it's a reconnection. It's compassion. That's why I often, you know, call people who are part of my sort of network of love, like compassion ambassadors. And I just want to grow this tribe of compassion ambassadors who understand there is no such thing as my shit's more important than your shit, or my pain is more painful than your pain. There is no such thing. I mean, the invalidation is like, it is so, invalidation is the biggest bully that there is. You know,
that's a good point.
It is a bully, and it's poison, and it's not helpful, and
Toxic.
it's so toxic, and it just has no place in a network of love. And so that's why I just feel like this is being created through me, you know, and I have very little energy. I have sparks of energy or windows of energy. And, you know, everything that happens in the network of love comes 100% from a spark, like you said. And because I have to have that extra energy to make it happen, it has to happen in one take. It has to be sort of unfiltered. And I've surrendered to it, because I'm being told like this is the teaching, is this is how we heal. Come back together to love, you know, to be here for each other, and to stop invalidating each other.
I think that's a really, really, really strong point. I think what you just said then, you know, like, and I think that whether we invalidated ourselves by going, you know, oh, I don't want to tell you my thing that I'm going through, or, you know, if someone else is going through heavier stuff, because I've kind of been on both sides of that, you know, where if someone's going through something heavy too, you know, I've had people that have been going through heavy stuff and I've lost friendships over it, you know, because of years of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that kind of person not really giving me energy off that, like when I'm doing something good, that it's good for them. It's kind of like, but I've got this stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we do it in different ways. So that kind of taught me to be like, oh, well, I'll be over here because that's how it works. But then on the flip side, being around someone who's going, you know, through lots of heavy stuff, who there's a genuine difference with the energetics between like, I'm always going through this and anything, you know, that's good is going to kind of, like, I don't really want to hear about it because I got to focus on this, to someone who's like, look, I'm going through all this stuff. I'm going to go through it. And then anyway, what's happening with you?
Yeah.
Like, I've got space for that, you know, like, because it brings in light. There's some people who want to block it, you know, if they're going through heavy stuff, they don't want to know about the good things. They don't want to know about the happiness because this is their experience. And that's probably, you know, where ultimately the more that people share and connect, you know, hopefully you can get to those people that it's like, it's okay that you're going through something,
We're
you
all
know,
going through
tough.
something.
Yeah, it's all different levels.
This is a love initiation. Every single one
Yeah.
of those things is an invitation to the truth of who you are. It's an invitation to what I call an embodied awakening.
Yeah.
Transformation is it's raw, it's intense, it's real. It can be yucky. It can also be ecstatic and beautiful and super high. And you know, when you're part of a network of love of people who are transforming, they believe that their challenges in their lives are invitations to transform, and they're doing that, then everyone is able to sort of be in a different place but still honor and be there for each other and do what they can. That's the other thing, is it's like, you know, when you're part of a network and everyone just gives what they can, somehow everything gets covered.
Yeah, totally. And it's like those sparks. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, the fire energy is like a spark. It's about momentum and taking action on it, you know. And so it's like, if you have that for a moment and you're like up there and everyone's like, yeah, that's great, go with it. You know, there comes a point where you're like, I don't really have that right now, but I can be here when someone else is going through that. And you can feel that, like, I know what it feels like to be supported in a moment of really good stuff, or whether you're going through something you need
Well, it's
support.
also when you're able to give back to the network more. Like, I just had a girlfriend yesterday do this very thing for me, you know, so she's starting an online business with some makeup that I'm really loving. And so basically we're talking about it, and she's like, I'm going to just gift this to you so that we can do this together, because now this can become an income stream for you. And I got supported, so now I'm going to support you. And I was like, there you go, the magic of the network of love, because that's ultimately what I want to create in the network, are a bunch of affiliate partners that give us everyone in the network the ability to sort of rise together, not only in their healing or their health, but also financially, because the finances are a huge part of our health. And so I'm creating
that's part of healing as well.
And it's like, so so there's this beautiful thing happening where, like, that was just passed from heart to heart, and then like to create out of that and then offer that to other people in the network, and to be able to say, gosh, you know, now we have a way that we can generate together and, you know, focus on inner and outer beauty together and have fun with it, even while we're going through challenges and crisis. So anyways, I know that we could just talk forever, but I think you really get it. But
I think this whole, when I create this, I'll do it now, and it's a great day to do it, being the Lionsgate portal. You know, like, we can shift timelines today, so like, just let's do it.
And I love
it's
what
like
you said too about already being whole, and this, and I agree. I talk a lot about becoming whole and healing, and I don't think it's separate from the fact that we are already whole and we are already healed. The two exist on a continuum, and they're being reconnected. And so
Yeah.
that's what when I talk about it, that's what I mean. I don't feel like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm stuck over here in this forever healing. It's like
Yeah.
every step of this, what my body's going through to purge is another layer of a physical healing. But like
Yes.
ultimately, I have a stronger connection with the force of love than I've ever had. In some ways, I'm the
Yeah.
most whole, the strongest, and the healthiest that I've ever been. That's why I can show up for my body now. Like, and I
Yeah.
couldn't before, I had to hide it
Yeah.
before. That's why I can talk about it now. And I couldn't before because I just I couldn't face it. But now it's just like, I'm showing the thing I would be the most ashamed of to the world, because it's part of it. It's part of
Exactly.
just saying, look, we're human, and we all need
Yeah.
to be connected and supported. So, so I'm just so,
Well, I think this will be really cool, because it's like, it's just centering in on that, trusting that there is a bigger picture. And so as every dot and every person connects and all that whole network comes together, that's the map of the bigger picture. And
right.
then the throat chakra thing is at the center of it, because it's about how you communicate that in the tangible world, the physical world, and remembering that being the center point of this mandala and the essence of everybody that kind of gets access to this, if that is what you're putting out in the world, you can be the spark that ignites someone else's spark. And whether that is to, go this way with more healing for themselves, or it's just an intuitive thing, it reminds them that, oh, I can do what I want to do as well. That's what this whole thing is about. And that's part of accessing the bigger picture and just going, I can be a piece of the puzzle in the day-to-day.
Yes.
And just by communicating
Yes.
clearly,
And we all play such an important role, and we play different roles at different times. Sometimes we're on
Yes.
the high side, and we're the one that gets to give a hand up, and sometimes we're the one
Yeah.
that needs the hand up, and there's no judgment, like,
Yeah.
because we're all of it, and the
Yeah.
network moves and breathes together, so and the mandala, like you said, I love the energetic imprint and the map, because sometimes, especially if you are going through a physical or emotional intensive healing process, sometimes you can feel like lost. And so
Yeah,
having the piece
totally.
of art that's this visual reminder of the bigger picture and the connectivity, and the way that nothing is impossible through, when all the little dots connect together, they create this
Yeah.
piece of art, and that your life is that art.
And
So
the light and shade of it all, and that, if there wasn't shading and some contrast, it would have no depth.
right.
It would just be this 2D, two-dimensional kind of thing, rather than feeling like there's more depth there. And that's like
Yeah.
the imprint that the thing that we all create as we're going through the map,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this will be the Radiant Health Mandala. And
Okay, I like
that's
it.
that's the just the power that it has. And when we look at it, we remember our wholeness, and
Yeah.
when we remember that any crisis is an invitation to deepen our relationship with our own true love.
Yeah.
And,
And merging the radiance of like the bright lights and the darkness and that
yes,
contrast, to make it
the
really,
reconnection.
really
Yes.
vibrant. And yeah, totally.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Cool.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to stop the recording now, but there's going to be an opportunity for all of you, anyone who's been listening to this amazing, juicy conversation, to be able to create your own
Yeah.
Radiant Health Mandala with your own energetic imprint and signature. And so we'll be sharing more about that soon.
Yes.
Yay.
Cool.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Cheers.